that makes use of different scientific method. Basically, we got a raw data. Raw data is what we don't, the data that we don't have any information, like simply it is not cleaned or not processed. We'll discuss in the later slide what are that cleaning and processing and of data. So basically we are getting a raw data and we are working on that data. We are just visualizing that data, and these all processes comes under data science. Okay. In other words, we can say it is finding and exploring the data in the real world and using that knowledge to solve business problems. So we can say, in other words, that it is basically a finding and exploring the data in the real world, and using that information we generally solve our business problems like prediction and all. We will just discuss it in the later slides. What are that prediction and all? Okay. Next one, data science is applied by the data scientist whose primary role is to design and create processes for the complex as well as large scale data sets. So basically we have a large scale data set in which there are lots of data. It may be in crores or it may be in millions or anything. So basically data scientist, what does he do? Basically his primary role is to design and create the processes for the complex as well as large data set. Okay. He is involved in processing, cleaning, verifying all the integrities of the data for the analysis, and he also built predictive models using machine learning algorithms. So these are the basic role that is involved in the data scientist. So data scientists basically do these processes. Okay. So I hope this thing is clear to all of you. Okay, fine. Now let's discuss some example. The first one was customer prediction. System can be trained based on the customer behavior pattern to predict the likelihood of customer buying a product. Now, what does it mean basically? Like basically, what does this mean? Like whenever I will just give you a simple example. Whenever you go to some website, Flipkart or Amazon or any e-commerce website, and whenever you check for any product there, so after some time, like after just checking the product, you have just closed that Flipkart or Amazon. So after some time, what do you notice? Whenever you visit any website, you just see the advertisement of that product. Or maybe after some time or after some days, you get a mail regarding that product or any other related product that there is some offer to this product. You can buy right now. There is on 50% off and something like this. You must have noticed that. All of you just tell me, have you faced this? Yeah, fine. Okay. So experience this many times. Yeah. So basically what does it do when you visit any website or any app? Basically the website and app basically stores your likelihood, like where you are basically going, on which page you are spending your time, on which product you are basically taking your mouse and hovering the product, on which product you are just checking the description. These all things are basically saved in the background that you can't see basically. So after saving that information, what does company do? Just basically they predict that what you may buy in the future. Like whenever there is some offer in that company, they will simply send you mail or simply show you some advertisement so that you buy that product. So this is basically we can call it as a customer prediction, and what customer can buy in future from our website or from our app. Okay. Next one is what? Service planning. Restaurants can predict. Restaurants can predict how many customers will visit on a weekend and plan their food inventory to handle the demand. Like what they can do, basically they can just check the previous, we can say 2 or 3 years of data, that how many customers are coming on the weekends. Just like suppose after just checking the data, they got on data like near about 50 or 100 customers are coming on the weekend on an average. So what they will do, they will just plan their inventory of minimum 50 to 100 people, so that whenever any customer come, they can't they don't go back without eating any food. They don't have any shortage of inventory. So this is about a service planning, that while knowing about the customer count, they can basically plan their inventory so that they don't get any shortage. Fine. So this is the basic two example that I discussed here. So I hope this by this example data science is clear to all. Okay. Now, what are the different programming languages that we use for data science? The first one is the R programming. Second one is the Python. Third one is SQL. Fourth one MATLAB. Next one is what? Java. And the last one we can call it as a SAS. Okay. So these are the different basically programming languages that we use, you can use for data science. And out of these, basically right now, the Python is the most popular in these. Why they are popular, why this is popular, basically, we will discuss in the later slide that what are basically the things that makes the Python popular. Okay, fine. So these are the programming language. So in our session also, we will be using Python for the programming. So let's discuss now the data life cycle. Now, what is the data life cycle? That basically, if you want to work on data science, what processes you need to do for the data science. Fine. So these are the some processes that you need to do for the data science. The first one is what? Discovery. The second one, data preparation. The third one, model planning. Fourth one, model building. Fifth one, operationalize. And the sixth one is communicate result. Now, anybody from here can explain me any of these one by one? Anybody? In simple 1 or 2 words, you can say in the chat window. Okay, first of all, tell me, all of you can listen. Are you audible? Am I audible to all of you now? It's not like that I'm not audible. Is there anybody who's I'm not audible to all? So I hope I am audible to all. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Yeah, so first one is data discovery. So what can we call it as a discovery? First of all, tell me about discovery. What can be the discovery? Removal of duplicates. Discovery is basically the search of a new entity. Okay, finding out source of data. Yeah, basically we can say the source of data, or we can say the finding the new things about it with data, or we are just checking the data. We are just basically getting the data. That's the basically the role of basically called the discovery of data. Fine. Identifying the data set. Yeah, correct. Next one is data preparation. What is the data preparation? Pre-processing of data. Yeah, that's correct. Pre-processing of data. Removal of outliers. Yeah, that is also correct. Data cleaning. Collection of data. Collection of data basically comes under discovery. So we will discuss about this data pre-processing later, and we will do the practical also on the data pre-processing. Removal of null values and duplicates. Yeah, normalization, scaling. These all processes, data filtering. These all processes comes under data preparation. Correct. All of you are correct. Making data ready for model construction. Yeah, that is also correct. So all of you are correct now. Now next one is model planning. What do you understand by model planning? Anybody? Identifying a suitable model, designing model. Basically what does it understand? These are, you all are correct. Like suppose we want to predict anything. So for this we have to use some model, or we can say we have to use some algorithm. So which algorithm will fit to our data? Which algorithm will fit to our data? There are different types of algorithm. So which algorithm will fit to our data? We will just plan that model. Other example, real-time example, just I can give you simple mathematics example. Suppose there is some problem statement is there, some question is there, and you just identify now that which theorem will be applying on this problem. That is basically the model planning. We can say that which algorithm will be fitting to the data, right? Next one is model building. Now, what is this model building? Model building is what, like we have planned the model that this ABC model we will be using for our data manipulation, like prediction and all. Then after this, we will plan the model, build the model. Basically, we will just fit the data into our model and just we will apply the construct the model. Yeah, construction of model, classification or regression. These are basically types of the algorithm. Classification, regression, these all. Yeah, correct. Then we will operationalize. We will basically just check our outputs and apply the data. Just give me 2 minutes of time. 1 second. Yeah. So operationalize was basically like applying all the data to the model. Now, after applying the data, we will basically get some results. Now, if our result is not up to the mark, or we are not getting the accuracy up to the mark, what we will do, we will just reapply all the process. There may be something problem in the data pre-processing. So again, we have to process the data and check the data, that if there are some columns that we need to remove, or there are some data that we have to work on that, then maybe we will change the algorithm. Maybe we have applied a wrong algorithm, that's why we are not getting the accuracy. So we'll change the algorithm. So we will repeat all the process again till we get the good accuracy. This is all about the data life cycle. I hope this thing is clear to all of you. Yeah, fine. Okay. So these all processes are done by a single person who is known as data scientist. So basically, if you can do all the processes again, you will be called as a data scientist. And right now, in the IT sector, this is in boom. Data scientist is the maximum salary that the data scientists are getting right now on an average. This is the basically high in demand right now. Okay. Now we'll move further. Why Python for data science? Why we need Python? Just I've told you that why we are using Python for data science. The first of all, using Python is what? Python is an open source programming languages that we don't have to pay anything for Python. So the first one, simple and easy to learn. The syntax of the Python, the programming language, is very simple. Anyone can learn easily. Right now, the class 7, 8 students are also learning Python. In our syllabus, in their syllabus, they are having the Python in class 8 or 9. So it's very simple to learn. Fit for many platforms. Basically, it's not like that. It is a platform dependent. It can work on Windows, it can work on Mac, it can work on Linux, it can work on any platform. So there is no platform dependent on Python. So we can work on every platform. The third one, high level and interpreted language. Basically, it is a high level language and it also acts as an interpreter. The fourth one is what? Perform data manipulation, analysis, and visualization. Through this, you can easily perform the data manipulation, data analysis, and the visualization of data. There are some inbuilt libraries in which makes these processes simple. Okay. Scripting language as well. You can use Python for scripting language also, like we use JavaScript, Node.js, and all. So we can use Python as for the scripting language as well. The last one is powerful libraries for machine learning applications and other scientific computations. So there are some machine learning libraries that are inbuilt with the Python, which makes our coding simple. Like we don't have to write 50 or 60 lines of code for some algorithm. Simply we have to call 3 or 4 lines of code and our machine learning algorithm will be applied. So these are the basically point or features we can say which makes Python very much popular or famous right now for any programming, for data science and machine learning. Fine. So the first one in data science, basically data manipulation. So for data manipulation, it was basically, it helps us to extract, filter and transform our data quickly and efficiently. So basically the processes behind data extraction, filter, transformation, visualization, these all are the part of data manipulation. So basically we use two libraries for this. The first one is NumPy and the second one is Pandas. So we'll do the practical on these two libraries in the later classes. Okay. Now the first one is NumPy. NumPy was the Python's package that stands for numerical Python. Basically, NumPy is the package of Python, basically that stands for numerical Python. Okay. It is used for scientific computing, which contains an array of objects. Like if we have to work, if we have to perform any mathematical, like we have to perform trigonometric equation, we have to use pi, we have to create an array, we have to generate random value. So for every mathematical calculation, we can use NumPy for that. Okay. For installation, we have these two commands. Like if you are using Anaconda, you can install NumPy by using conda install NumPy. And for normal installation, you can use pip install NumPy. Pip stands for Python install package. So in Anaconda, if you install the Anaconda package, this NumPy is already there. You don't have to install it again. It's already installed there. Okay. And for using it in the programming, you have to simply write import NumPy. So that NumPy will be imported in your programming. So this is all about the NumPy. Next one is Pandas, a Python package which is used for the data manipulation and analysis. Like if you have to extract the data, if you have to filter the data, you have to remove the column, if you have to add the column, if you have to apply anything, any function to the column. So these all processes are done by the Pandas. Used for the matrix data, tabular data, statistical data, and many kind of heterogeneous data also, and same for the installation process. So this was all about the NumPy and Pandas. We will perform the practical also on this. So I hope this thing till now it's clear to all. Just reply on the chat window, all of you. Okay, fine. Now our next one, data science, is the basic introduction about the data science is over now. Now we'll discuss about the machine learning. Now what is machine learning? Is Pandas already? Yeah, Pandas is already also there in Anaconda. If you install, I will just tell you the difference between Anaconda and normal IDE. I'll just discuss about this. So Pandas is also there in Anaconda. You don't have to install it. Okay. Yeah. Now machine learning. What is machine learning? Anybody? Simple words. What we can say in simple words? Anybody? You can write on the chat. Anybody, if you know. Find patterns. Ability to learn from data. Okay. Make the machine learn the data and use it to predict. Yeah, that's correct. Application of AI. Yeah, that is also correct. Statistical data analysis. That data analysis basically comes under data science. We can call it in a machine learning, but basically it comes under data science. Adding decision making to machine. Okay, learn from data. Yeah, that's also correct. So basically machine learning is what? If you break the word machine learning, that means we are training the machine to work on any data, to do the prediction. So basically we train the machine basically to predict any data, any kind of data. Okay. Automatically find the values and pattern. Yeah, that is also correct. So let's discuss. It is a type of artificial intelligence that allows software applications to learn the data, learn from the data, and become more accurate in predicting outcomes without human intervention. That means we are basically training the data, After the training, we are using the machine, training the data. I'm training the machine with some data, and after the training, we are using it for the prediction. So that is basically called machine learning. Okay, like what we will do basically in machine learning, when we train the data, suppose we have 100 samples of data. So basically in our general use, what we do, we apply near about 80 to 85% of data to machine for the training purpose. Like we will train the machine with 80 to 85% of data, and the rest 15% of data we will use it for testing, that what accuracy we are getting from that testing data. So generally, this is the ratio that in which we divide 80-20 or near about 85 to 15%. Fine. In other words, it allows software apps to learn of its own by following a set of instructions. The basic idea behind machine learning is to mimic the way our brain works. So this is all about the machine learning. Right? Now, what is the flow of machine learning? The first one, what we have to do after data pre-processing, that means after all the processing that done, cleaning, filtering, and all, we got the actual data on which we will apply the model. Okay, so this is the part of machine learning, that what we will do, first of all, we will train the data. And how much data we will give for the training? 80 to 85% that I told you just now. 80 to 85% of the data will be given to the machine for the training part. Now, when training will be done, then the algorithm will be applied. Basically, which algorithm we will be going to use, we will plan that algorithm. Then we will build the model. Basically, we will fit the data in our algorithm. The same process that we have done in data science almost. Then we will perform the operation. After the performance, we will get some feedback. That means we can say we will get some result or prediction. If our prediction is not correct, we will again change the algorithm and apply it again. So this is a basic flow of the machine learning. Got it? All of you? Yeah, okay. Now, what are the types of machine learning? Basically, we have three types of machine learning. The first one is supervised learning. The second one is unsupervised learning. And the third one is reinforcement learning. Now, first, let's discuss them one by one. So the first one is what? Supervised learning. It is, first of all, let's leave this one. First of all, just stand in normally that what is that supervised learning in general purpose. Supervised learning is what? The learning in which there is some labeling of data. That means the data that we are getting, that we are basically collecting the data, all the data are labeled data. That means we have some information about the data and what data are basically for. So the labeled data, if you apply the learning to a labeled data, they are called as supervised learning. Got it? So if we talk it in mathematical way, it is where we have an input variable x and output variable y, which we call it as x as a dependent variable and y as an independent variable. And we use an algorithm to learn the mapping function from the input to the output. That means y equal to fx. We have to find the function y equal to fx, and the finding of this function is basically known as machine learning. Like suppose, I'll just give you a simple example. We have x and we have y. This x is our input and y is our output. Okay. So I'm just taking some data samples. So 1, 2, 3, 4 in x, and output in y, what we are getting 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. This output we are getting. We are applying this data to the machine. Okay. And now we have to predict that in 5, what will be the corresponding value of 5 in Y. We have to predict this. Okay. So first of all, what machine will do? Machine will basically analyze this data and find the functions, basically the mapping function to this data. So can anybody tell me what will be the mapping function to this data? Anybody? What will be the value of Y in terms of X? Y equal to 2X. Yeah, correct. Y equal to 2X. So this, the way that we have find just now, that the mapping function will be Y equal to 2X. The same thing the machine will also do. It will find the mapping function, that the mapping function will be Y equal to 2X. Then while using the prediction, it will simply give the value as 10. So this is basically the supervised learning. I hope this thing is clear to all. Yeah, just respond in the chat window. Okay, fine. Okay, so this was all about the supervised learning. Fine. Now in the supervised learning, we have some algorithms involved. The first one is linear regression. The second one is logistic. The third one is decision tree. The fourth one, random forest. Fifth one is KNN, and the sixth one is nav bias classifier. So these are the different algorithms, and like for different kinds of data, we have to apply these different types of algorithms. So with the algorithms are basically the data prediction are depend on the algorithm, that on which kind of data we have to apply which algorithm. I'll just discuss this now. We will discuss one by one in the later slides. Okay. So first one is linear regression. It is used to estimate the real values like cost of house, salary prediction, number of sales in a company, etc. Like whenever there is a linear relationship between the data, we want to predict any number, like we have to predict any number for the future, that what will be my salary after 10 years, what will be the cost of this house after 10 years. So if you want to predict some value, then we have to use linear regression in that case. So if you are getting any problem statement that we have to predict the salary of an employee after 10 years, so we have to apply linear regression in that. Fine. Next one, logistic regression. Logistic regression is what used for estimating discrete values, that is only 0 and 1. Like in the case where you got the output in the form of true, false, yes, no, or we can say 0 and 1. In that case, you have to apply logistic regression, like whether I can buy a product or not, whether this mail is a spam or not, whether he will survive after 10 years or not. So whether you are getting the answer in yes or no, in that case, you will apply logistic regression. Fine. So next one, decision tree. Basically used for the classification problem where we want to classify data into different categories. Like example, review greater than 4 is excellent and review less than 2 is worst. Like where we have to classify the data into different categories. We have to classify the data. So in that case, you have to use decision tree. Fine. Random forest, it is most similar to the decision tree. If you are not getting good accuracy in decision tree, you can apply random forest. In random forest, we apply more than one decision tree. So we can say in random forest, we have a group of decision tree. More than one tree will be there. Next one, nav bias classifier based on the Bayes theorem. Bayes theorem you must have read in the probability in your previous classes, where we don't have any relation between the predictors. Example, probability of playing golf at different weather conditions. That means where we don't have any relation between the features. Like suppose I want to predict that which fruit is there which is smaller in size, circular in shape, and red in color. That means we will simply call it as an apple, or we can, if we take an example of vegetable, we call it as a tomato. Fine. But that color and that size, they are not dependent on each other. So that means the features are not dependent on each other. That means in that case, you have to apply nav bias classifier. Fine. The last one is KNN. That stands for K nearest neighbor. An object is classified by a majority of vote of its neighbor, or in case based on a similarity measure. Example, search result. Like when you go to Google and search for some keyword, what does basically the Google return? It return you the name of the website in which the maximum number of that word is used. If suppose I'm searching for the word Python, so it will return you the website name in which the Python is used most number of times. So that is basically KNN. K stands for that how many neighbors basically we are taking. I will just give you some simple example about the KNN. Like suppose, like when you go and buy a t-shirt or shirt something, so there basically we have a two groups. Like basically we say that my shirt size is 30. Generally we can say as per term frequency of keyword now. Frequency of keyword, yeah, frequency of keyword, yeah, correct. Frequency, that how many times that keyword is appearing in a website. That's correct. Yeah, suppose like there is basically in two case we give the t-shirt size, like we can say that my t-shirt size is 30, or we can say my t-shirt size in medium. So basically what does it do? Like suppose we know that 26 to suppose 28, this comes under small size. 30 to 30, just for example taking 32, this comes under medium. 34 to 36, this comes under large. So we have defined this category. Now I'm asking what will be the category of 31. So we can simply call it as M. We can also call this as a KNN. That this 31 is nearer to which category? It's nearer to which category? Fine. So this is all about the KNN. Next one is unsupervised learning. In unsupervised learning, we don't have the labeling of data. We don't have any information about the data. It is training of a model using information that is neither classified nor labeled, in which there is no explanation of the data. It is also called as clustering analysis. Unlabeled picture or audio downloaded from the internet. Like we have downloaded one audio and we don't know that what is that audio. So we have to find it about that audio. That is basically called unsupervised learning. I will give you some math example to understand the difference between supervised and unsupervised. Like suppose I am a math teacher and I'm just teaching you trigonometry chapter. Okay. So I am just telling you that on this kind of problem, you have to apply this theorem or this formula. I'm just explaining to you all the things that on this kind of problem, you have to apply this formula, and this kind of problem, you have to apply this formula and all. This is called supervised learning, where you are someone who is there, who is just giving you the training about the data, that yeah, if there is this kind of data, you have to apply this. If you have this kind of data, you have to apply this. Now, in the second case is what? I have directly given you a problem, and I told you, you have to find it by your own, by studying or anything, that what kind of formula or algorithm you have to apply. So this is called unsupervised learning, where we don't have any information about the problem statement and we have to search all the things. We have to basically find out all the things. So this is called unsupervised learning. Got it, all of you? Just tell me. Yeah. Okay, fine. So in this, there are basically k-means clustering and hierarchical clustering. These two are other basically the algorithms of the unsupervised learning. The next one is reinforcement learning. Now, anybody, any idea about reinforcement? Any idea? Agents, hit and trial based training, by experience. Yeah, all of you are correct. Reinforcement learning is what basically the system which trains itself by its past experience, or we can say hit and trial. That is also correct. By experiences, it act reward or penalty. Yeah, that's correct, all of you. It is an area of machine learning where the remote reinforcement learner agent learns from the consequences of its action rather than being taught explicitly. It selects the action on the basis of past experiences and also by the new choices. Here, machine takes the decision on its own. Like suppose I'm just give you a simple example, like in your childhood days, all of you must have faced one thing, like your parents, your father or mother just must have given you one option that if you score 90% marks in your examination, I will give you this reward. Or right now also we just tell small child that if you do your homework, I will give you chocolate, I will give you some gift or something. You must have faced this one, all of you. I don't think there is someone who doesn't have faced this one. Face now. So in that case, what happens basically? Suppose I have given a child that if you complete your homework, I will give you the chocolate. Now the child will, what child will do it? He will complete the homework, and after the completion of the homework, he will ask me to for the chocolate. So if I give him the chocolate, so in the future, what he will do? If I again give him the option, he will surely do it, because he has seen that in the previous one I have completed my homework and I got the reward. But if I denied that time, so will he able to try next time? Basically, he will not do it. He will not. He will just see that he told me lie that if I complete, he will not give me. So that thing he will not do it. So that this is basically we can call it a reinforcement learning, or we can take example of chess. Like in chess, the how many times we play chess, we learn every time. Like we learn chess after playing each and like every time we learn chess by the experiences, right? So the chess is a better example also we can call for the reinforcement learning. Fine. So this was all about the reinforcement learning. So we have basically 2-3 algorithms. The first one is Q learning, SARSA, and this DQ, and DQ stands for double Q learning. So these are the basic algorithms. Okay. Now, what are the applications of machine learning? The first one is virtual assistant, or we can call it as a chatbot. Image recognition, we can call it as a face recognition or face detection. Social media, the sentiment analysis. Sentiment analysis is what? Anybody? What is sentiment analysis? Anybody? What do you call as a sentiment analysis? Analysis of reviews. Yeah, we can call it analysis of reviews. Like suppose I have written this movie is very good. So after reading this review, it will analyze that is it a positive review or it is a negative review or neutral review. This is called sentiment analysis. Okay, we use basically natural language processing NLP for this. Okay. Yeah, emotions analyzing words is called. Yeah, correct, all of you. Next one is what? Financial services, algorithmic trading or fraud detection, like we use in stock market. What will be our price in after 10 years or after like in 2 days or 3 days? Will the price will go high? Will the price will go low? These all things. Drug discovery in the healthcare. And the last one is e-commerce, customer prediction support. I have given an example in the previous second slide. Recommendation and advertisement. These are the basic applications of the machine learning. Fine. Now, the last one is artificial intelligence. Now, what is artificial intelligence? Artificial plus intelligence. Artificial means that the things that are made by human. Intelligence, we can call it as a brain. That means the human made brain is called artificial intelligence, we can say. That means some machine, we are creating a machine which totally acts like a human, which totally behaves like a human, which can do all the things that a human can do. That means the human made brain is basically called artificial intelligence. The capacity to learn and solve problems. is a simulation of human intelligence by machines. Fine. So this is all about the artificial intelligence, and in this we use basically neural network. So we will discuss about the neural network tomorrow in the tomorrow session. So what is this neural network and all? Okay. And these are the basically applications where we use artificial intelligence: Siri, Alexa, Google, Cortana, iMessage, Messenger, WhatsApp, Twilio, Telegram, Allo, Line, these all things. You must have knowing about these apps. So in these apps, basically we use artificial intelligence. So I hope this thing is clear to all. So we have completed our theory sessions. We will not do like, basically you have to just learn about this only. Now we'll just move on to the practical. So we can start the practical part now. All of you. Anybody who need to ask something? Anybody? Okay, fine. So we'll start the practical now. Now, first of all, we will do the installation part. Now, difference between data mining and data mining is a part of data science. Data science is basically the area in which the data mining is there. It's a part of data science. See, data mining, basically we can, if you want to know what is data mining is basically collection of data, we can say. The mining is what? Taking out the patterns, or we can say that taking out the data. And it can be done by various processes, like we can use web scraping, we can take the data from big data, we can take the data from database, you can take the data from CSV file. So there can be many sources for the data mining. Okay. So now here you can see untitled. So you can simply double click on this and you can change the file name. So I am just changing the file name as pre-processing data pre-processing and visualization. This thing we are going to do now. Data pre-processing and visualization. Just press enter. Your file will be changed. File name will be changed. And this is basically an auto save file. So for your comfort, you can simply press Ctrl S and save it. But it is an auto save. But for your sake, you do a Ctrl S, or you can simply click on File and Save. There is no save option. Save and checkpoint. Yeah, this one. So you can press Ctrl S, or you can simply save. But it's already by default, it's saving automatically. So here you can see this is a cell where we write the code. Okay. And this is basically for saving, this button. This is basically for creating the cells. And this is basically for deleting the cells. This is basically for copying the cell. This is for moving the cell. Like suppose I have created one cell here and I have to move up and down to this cell. So this is for moving the cell, and this is for run command. So run, what you can do, you can simply run by shift plus enter also. Okay. So shift, if I write here a equal to 10, and if I press shift plus enter, it will run that. If I simply write a here, it will execute this command. This 1 and 2 is what? How many times I have executed, how many times basically we got the output. This is basically the time. Suppose I am executing this again. See, I got this 3. That means this is the first time, then second, then again this 3. To delete the cell, you can simply click on this seizure sign. It will simply delete. So got it, this basic. Now the next one is what? Here you can select, basically we use these two options, code and markdown. Code is what? This is the coding part basically. So this is code, and markdown is what? Suppose you have to give heading. So you can select markdown and you can write has, I'm just giving here data or we can see library importing libraries. Okay. So if I execute it by simple shift plus enter or by this button, I got this as a heading. Okay. Now, if you double click on this, you can edit this later on. Now, what this hash basically, this is basically the size of your heading. Here you can use up to 6. So this is basically, this is H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. Like as if we have in HTML, we have 6 types of heading. So you can give any size that you want. Got it, all of you? So this was the basic about the your Jupyter. Fine. So should we start now? Now, before starting this class, I hope all of you are having the basic knowledge about the Python programming. I've already mentioned one link in the mail also, that if you don't have any basic knowledge, you can refer to that video that I have made only. Have you referred my videos who don't have any basics about the Python? So all of you are having the basic knowledge about the Python. What are lists, what are tuples, what are dictionaries, how to use loop, how to make function, and these all things. You all are getting, you all are having it? Fine. Okay, so in this program, basically we are just going to visualize our data and pre-process our data. So basically, what are the steps involved in pre-processing? I'll tell you about the steps. Yeah, so the steps involved in pre-processing is what? The first step is what? Data, we can say cleaning. Data cleaning is what? Like the rows or columns that we don't want, we will remove that rows and columns. That is called basically data cleaning. Removing all the unused, or we can say the columns that we don't want, that is called data cleaning. Next one, we can say working with null values. Either we can remove all the null values or we can replace the null value with some value. So this is basically the working with null values. Third one, we can say scaling or normalization. Scaling of data or normalization of data. In this, basically we divide the data in between the range 0 to 1 so that we get the good accuracy. Suppose we have a data in the range of 0 to 100. So what we do, basically we divide the data in the range of 0 to 1. This is basically called scaling or normalization. And what else we can do? Processing, pre-processing, or we can say adding or deleting column. Next one, what we can say? Renaming columns, filtering columns. So these are the basically steps that are involved in pre-processing. So we are going to do these steps. Fine, all of you? So if you write star now, you'll get in the form of bullets. See, it's becoming like a notes. You can create your notes also here. While doing the programming, you can simply create some notes also. So I'll just share you one file on which we are going to do our pre-processing. And now one more thing, what may be our source of data? What can be the source of our data? The first source that can be from your big data. All of you must have heard about big data. Next one, it can be from any database, which can be SQL or DBMS or Oracle, it can be anyone. Okay. Third one is what? Web scraping. We can scrap the data from the website and store it in the database or something. Fourth one, what we can use CSV file, JSON file, Excel file, and many more. Okay, so these are the basically source from where we get the data. It can be CSV. CSV stands for, one more is there, you can take that TSV. CSV stands for comma separated value. I will show you how this CSV file looks like. JSON stands for JavaScript object notation. Excel file, you all know, TSV tab separated values. So these are the different types of files from where we get the data. So most of the time we will be working with CSV only. We'll be working with CSV file. We are having the data in that because this is the most common format that we use. Okay, so CSV is the file right now that we are going to use for our data pre-processing. So I have one data, I'll just share it with you. Okay, so in this data, if you can see, basically there are some columns. The first column is passenger ID. Passenger ID, basically this is the data of the passengers who were traveling in the Titanic ship. So when Titanic basically sinks, so how many passengers have died, how many passengers were alive. So this is the data of basically those passengers. So this is the ID of the passenger, this is the survived. That means 0 means that means this passenger has died, and 1 means that this passenger hasn't died, he was alive. Sorry, she was alive, she is female. This is the class, first class, second class, third class. So here we have 3 class. This is the name, this is the sex, male or female, this is the age, this is the number of siblings and spouse from who is traveling. This is the parts, that means the oldest people, like how many oldest people are traveling with him, like father, mother, grandfather and all. This is the ticket number. If you scroll here, this is the fare, basically the price of the ticket. This is the cabin, the seat number, and this is the embark from where. Basically this is a station name, the destination name, the basic station name from where they have boarded the Titanic. So here we have 3, S, C and Q. So this is basically the place name in United Kingdom. S stands for Southampton, C stands for Cherbourg, and Q stands for Queenstown. Okay, so these are the this is the basically data that we are going to use right now. So if I click on this raw, I'll just get the actual data. So see, you can see here the actual data is what? These are the basically columns. First column, sorry, the first rows and different columns. Second row, third column. I will just share the link. Just wait for some time. This is the fourth column. So here you can see all the columns are separated by comma. That's why we call it as a comma separated value CSV file. You can see the Titanic.csv. This comma is replaced by tab space. That is called tab separated value, TSV. Got it, all of you? Now later on, what you can do, you can simply save as, click on save as and save it on the desktop or anywhere you want, and you can directly give the path of that desktop also for the programming part. Fine. So you can save it in your system also. First of all, we are importing the libraries that we will be using in our pre-processing part. The first library is our pandas library. This as PD means that we are replacing this name as PD. That means we can use this PD in case of pandas. Fine, we are just changing the label. Import numpy as np. Enter. Import seaborn as SNS. Now, pandas have already explained you, numpy already explained you. This seaborn and matplotlib is a library for data visualization. If you want to see the data in the graph, I have to use these libraries. Okay, so these are for the visualization, and these are for the basically for the data manipulation and the data mathematical computation. Run command. Okay, just execute this command. So this star means that the command is still executing and at the top of the title bar you can see one here icon. That means the command, now after executing I got 4, that means my command has been executed. Now Titanic data is my variable name, and I will write here PD is what, pandas dot read underscore CSV. That means we are reading the CSV file. Suppose you are using the path as like this. Suppose my file is inside the Umang folder, okay? So if you are using it like this, you have to write here R. R means that you are giving the read permission to pandas to read your file. So if you are using your own system, you have to give here R. Fine. After the execution, if you simply write here Titanic data and execute this, you will get all the data here. See, you can see the data. Here you can see after like row number 29, it's skipping the data. Basically, it's not showing, but it's already there actually. Okay, it's skipping because we can't see all the data in this small space. Okay, so it's skipping, but it's already there. Fine. So basically, it shows the first 30 data and the last 30 data. Top 30 data and the last 30 data is shows basically. Okay. And if you want to minimize this output, you can simply come here and double click on this. It will hide that output. If I double click on this, it will hide the output. Now suppose you don't want to display all data. You want to display only some number of rows or something. So you can use head function. You can write Titanic data dot head. So what it will do, it will return only the first 5 rows. See, we are getting only the first 5 rows. And if you pass any value here, suppose I'm passing any value 10, so it will return you the first 10 rows. Fine. So here you can just limit the data for displaying 5. If you don't pass any value, it will display by default 5. And if you pass any value like 10, 1 or 2 or something, then it will display only that amount of data. Fine. Suppose I am just displaying only 4, so it will display only 4. Is for displaying the last 4 data or last 5 data. It will display the last 5 data. Now, what is this basically data? This data is of which type? I want to know about this. So I can do by using type function, and I can write here type of Titanic data. If I execute this, what kind of data type we are getting? Pandas.code.frame.data frame. That means this is a data frame. Data frame we can call, we can say that it is a basically tabular form of data in which there are a collection of series. Now what is this series? Series is what? A series is a sequential display of a data other than the list. Like we have a list, so what we do, we pass the list in the series, which makes that list in the sequence way. Like there is some index associated with that, and it will show that index value also. So that is called basically a series. So that means in this data frame, this passenger ID is a series, this survived is a series, this P class is a series. This what I want to display only one column. I don't want to display all column. I want to display only one column. So what I can write, I can pass the column name. So just suppose I'm just taking the column name, and this is case sensitive. You have to write the same thing. Suppose I want to print display only name. So what I will write here, I will write here Titanic data. In the square bracket, you have to pass the column name. See, I am getting all the names. You can see I'm writing here, I'm doing one thing, I'm writing here dot head so that I can give only 5 data. See, you can see the first name which have one index 0, the second which have index 1, third with index 2. Now what is this basically? I'll just show you what is this kind of data. The type of this data is basically, if you can see, it is a series that I've told you just now. That means one column is called a series. Series, we can't have more than one column. We can have only one column. But in data frame, we can have one and more than one series. So if you can see here, here we can pass only one column. Suppose here, by giving comma, I am giving one another name, like suppose age. So see, it will return me the error. You can see the error, key error, name and age. That means we can't pass two columns in a series. Series can have only one column. But in data frame, we can have more than one series. That means data frame is a collection of series. It can be one, it can be two, it can be any. Converting to data frame, you can take here double bracket. Simply inside the double bracket, you can write. So if I execute this, I'm getting the same output, but in case of data frame. So if you can again check this like type, you are getting the type as data frame. I have to pass in a data frame. So here what I will write here, my mouse is not working. Yeah, so here I will write here only comma, I will pass the another name. Suppose I am passing here age. Now if I execute this, see, I got the age also. Suppose I am passing here SIBSP. This is case sensitive. I am again and again telling you have to pass the same name that printed here, same thing. So if I execute this, I will get the third column. This is how basically you can display more than one columns. So now suppose I'm just taking one scenario, one prediction case. Suppose I want to use this data for predicting whether a person has died or not. I want to use this data for predicting whether a person has died or not, and I want to process the data according to that algorithm. Fine, I want to use that. Predicting, that means whether a person has died or not. So we can call it as a Y. That means the value of Y is what? Either 0 or 1. It can be 0 or 1. 0 means died, and 1 that means alive. Now tell me which columns affect the value of Y. Do passenger ID affects the value of Y? No. So I can remove this column. I don't have, I can't, I will not use this column. It is of no use. Do passenger class matters? See, it doesn't matters at all. But we can't judge right now by saying this only. Passenger ID is completely, we can say no, doesn't matter. But we can't judge like this. Suppose the maximum number of people dying is from passenger class 2 or 3. So then in that case, we have to consider that passenger class. And in the case where we are getting the ratio same, like 33% for first class, 33% for second class, 33% for third class, then in that case, we can remove this P class. That means we have to analyze for the P class that how much ratio is there. Am I right? Is the name matters? No. So we will remove the name also. Now the name is next to sex. Now will it matters, male or female? So if the ratio is very much different, so we have to take that column. We have to consider that column. If the ratio, the sex ratio, we are getting the same ratio, then in that case we can simply remove that column. This is what we are going to do now. Fine. So here in this case we will be using our Seaborn and Matplotlib. Okay. Plotting plotting for survived, or we can say dead. We are just plotting and just checking how many passengers were survived and how many passengers were not survived, they were dead. We're just plotting a count plot. Count plot is what? That counts the values, that how many times that value has occurred in a column. Suppose I'm just plotting the count plot for this survived column. So it will count how many times this zero is there and how many times this one will be there. So it will simply basically count the value and it will simply plot as if our histogram work. Basically, histogram is also basically counts the value and just plot it, right? So similarly, the count plot also works. So I will write here SNS. SNS is what? SNS is simply this SNS library, this Seaborn library. Here we have imported this. Okay. So I will write here SNS dot count plot. Okay. So in the count plot, I will write the column name which I want to plot. So x equal to x is the defined keyword, and here you have to write the same column that you want to plot inside the single quotes or double quotes. You can use anything. So I will write here, it's not copied. Now here I have to pass the data on which I have to plot, from where I have to plot. So I will write here data equal to Titanic data. This is the column and this is the data on which this column is there. So if I execute this command, one more thing for your sake, you have to write here plt.show also. Now you can see the graph. Oh, first of all, I will just check for passenger class, then I will move to this gender one. Okay, just check it for passenger class. What I will do here, I will just use the same code. Okay, and in this case I will just add one more parameter here. I'll write here hue equal to the column name. So the column name is p class. Hue equal to p class. Then if yeah, now you can see in case of 0, blue is for first class, orange is for second class, and third is for third class. Now you can see the maximum number of passengers for the third class who were dead is from passenger class 3. Hue is for filtering the class. Like if you want to use more than one column, like I want to filter the class for survived. So in that filter class, I'm using P class. So that's the use of hue. Here you can pass one more column name. Okay. So now you can see the survived one. The basically here the ratio is same, but in case of death, the maximum number of ratio is for third class. Now tell me, is it okay to remove this column now? Will it not change the value of y? Will the y will not depend on this? The survived one is almost okay. So if we get this death one is also like this, so then in that case we can remove this. Fine. Hue is simply to filter, like suppose without the hue, what we are getting only the survived column. Fine. Now hue I have written here P class. So what it will check, that how many passenger of second class are having 0 and how many passenger of second class are having 1. This will count the value and plot it here. Yes, okay, all of you are getting yes. How to show values of graph? Values means we are here we are getting the values. Which value you want to show? Okay, next one we will do it for x. So just I'm giving here and I'll write here x. Execute this. So now you can see the maximum number of passengers who died, they were male. The maximum passengers who were survived, they were female. So here also we can't remove this column. So here also the female have got some preference. Here we can't plot it right now. So I will write here Titanic data and I will write here the name of the column. So name of the column is age I want to plot it on the histogram. So dot plot dot hist. Hist is for histogram. Then I will write plt dot show. If I execute this, so see, I got the graph here. Same graph. For the same graph, what you can do, let me check. What you can do is, you can use like this if you want in the same graph. Okay, you can say the 18 to 35, yeah, 17 to 35, that's correct. So this is basically the range of the age passenger that we're traveling. So in that case, we have to consider this column also. We have different range here. Okay, so in fare near about 0 to 100 50, 0 to $50, we can say near about 750 passengers were traveling on the fare between 0 to $50. This is about the fare. Now just execute this and just check what output we are getting here. So this is basically give the information about the data frame. What information we are getting here? Here we can see it is, first of all, it is telling me the class name, that is panda.code.frame.data frame. Then the range of the index is 0 to 890. That means there are total 891 entries in the data. Total we have 12 columns. These are the list of the columns. Here we have the total number of values in the column. Here we have 714. That means the rest of the data are null here. Here 204. That means near about 700 data are null. Here in this case, 2 data are null. So our next step is what? Data wrangling. Data wrangling is what? Basically the working with the null values. Removing all the null values or replacing all the null values is called basically data wrangling. Okay. So we have already did the data. Fine. Now, first of all, I want to check how many null values are there. For checking, what you have to do, you have to write here Titanic data dot is null. Is null is the function basically that tells you in the form of Boolean true or false, are your data is having a null value or not. So if I execute this, see, if I'm getting false, that means this is not the null value, and if I'm getting true, that means this is the null value. Fine. So from this you can just know whether now if you have a crores of data and suppose millions of data, so you will not check each and every column like this, na, or rows like this. It's not possible for us to check in like this. What we will do, we'll count the values. So for counting, what you can do, you can simply write here dot sum. So if you can see, the passenger ID is 0, that means no null value. In age, we have 177 null values, and in the cabin, we have 687 null values. So here you can see that there are 3 columns basically in which the null values are there. The first column is age, the second column is cabin, and the third column is embarked. I will just remove this column cabin. So how to remove this column? How to remove any column from data? I will tell you that. So for removing the column, you have to write first of all the data name, Titanic data. Then here to pass the column name. So I will write here, no, not like this, sorry. Titanic data dot drop. Write like this. Titanic data dot drop. Okay. Now inside this drop function, you have to pass the name of the column that you want to drop. So I will write here Titanic data dot drop cabin. Now they basically, here we have 2-3 arguments that we have to pass. Suppose I'm not passing any argument, I'm just executing this command. So what it will do, it will return me the error and it will tell me that cabin not found in axis. That means it is unable to find the cabin, but the cabin is here. So why it is unable to find that? Basically, when you execute the code like this, it searches the data row wise. So there is a no row with a name Kevin. That means that's why it is unable to delete. So we have to pass it as a column. So for that you have to write here axis equal to 1. So by default the value of axis is 0. Fine. So if you are giving 0, that means you are treating the Kevin as row. If I execute this, I will get the same error. But in case if I write here 1, see, my Kevin column has been removed. You can see there is no Kevin column now. So 1 means that you are treating this Kevin as a column. What does it do? We are just dropping, but we are not replacing that column. So what you can do, there are 2 ways for this. The first way is what? Like you can do like this. Like this. Then what it will do? It will replace the data of the old data. The second option, the standard way is what? The standard way is like this. In place equal to true. So this in place argument, what does it do? If it's you are making it true, that means it will replace the old data set with the new data set. So this in place is by default false. So if you replace this and execute this, so if I print this again, so now you can see the Kevin column has been removed. Suppose you have to drop more than 1 column. Suppose, so how can you drop more than 1 column? So for dropping more than 1 column, you have to pass the value here in the form of list. Here, like this. You'll pass like this. So here, suppose what I want, that I want to remove this passenger ID. I don't require this. I will write here passenger ID. Survived, we will keep because we want. P class, we want. Name, should I remove name? So I will remove name. This will we will keep. This will we will keep. This will also we will keep. Parch also we will keep. Embarked, yeah, embarked also we can remove. So we will remove for embarked. Next one, what we can remove? We can remove fare. Next one, we can remove ticket. Anything else? No, I think this thing is fine. So this number of columns we are removing now. I'm just copying the code and giving it to you. First of all, let me execute this and check it. Okay, I'll just copy this and give it to you. Now if I execute and check my data, so I got survived, P class, X, age, siblings, and parch. So we got all the data. So see, now we are getting 0. That means all the null values have been gone. So if I check the data now, I am getting only 714 entries. So near about 177 entries have gone. So our data has been reduced. So we don't have to do this one. In case you are having 2, 3, or 10 values, so in that case you can use this one. Let me execute from the top. Yeah, here I will execute this one again. So I got all the data, and here I will drop the Kevin first. So where is my Kevin? Yeah, so I'll drop the Kevin, and then I will drop this the whole part, this one. Yeah, so now if I check here again, I'm getting the null value. Now I want to replace this null value. Now all of you just tell me, from what value should I replace? What should be the value of age? 18, 19, 20. So from which value should I? Okay, so fill null values. Now in which column I have to fill null value? So I will write here age. So Titanic data of age dot fill null value. Suppose I am writing a 90, so it will replace all the null values with 90. But I want the mean. So first of all, we should know how to calculate the mean. So before executing this command, I will tell you how to calculate the mean. calculating the mean, I want to calculate the mean for the age. So I will write here ternary dot age dot mean. If I execute this, I will get the mean value. Getting this, all of you? Just tell me. Okay, so simply we will replace the value with this value. Okay, so I will simply write this code, or I can write here like this: mean equal to this. I've stored the value inside the mean, so I'll just simply pass this value here and execute this. So whenever I will get this 29 point something, so here this was the null value. Actually this was a null value, so we have replaced all the null values with this. Now we are still getting age. That means why? Because we haven't replaced that. So I will write here in place equal to true. Now see, now we removed all the null value, and our data has also not been lost. We are also having all the data. See, 891 entries, you can see. Fine. First of all, we are doing it for sex. So we write here pd dot get underscore dummies. This automatically convert that value into 0 and 1. Okay, and here I will just pass the column name that I want. Okay, now if I execute this, so sorry for the interrupt. So here dummies is what they are doing. The thing that I explained to you, basically convert that value, that the thing that I explained to you here. That the first column is male, so it had assigned the value 1, and here is 0. So this is get dummies do basically. Fine. So here I have told you I will remove the one column. So here is an inbuilt function argument. We can say that you have to write drop underscore first. See why it has come automatically. Yeah, there is just some shortcut key basically. If I write here simple dr and I press tab, so you will get the option. If you're not getting the option, it will take some time to come. So you can write in that case. Okay. So drop underscore first equal to true. What it does, does it do basically? It drops the first column. That means it will drop this female column. There is no option for dropping the second column. There is option for only first column only. So we will drop the first column and store this data in a variable with sex. So I'm storing this variable. I'm taking one variable here and storing the data here. And if I print, I got my data. Fine. So our next process will be what? I have to add this column to here, passenger class. That means P class. Okay. Here I will give the variable as P class and then execute this. Now I'll write P class dot head. Now you can see I got only two columns, 2 and 3. One has been removed. So now our next step is what? We will add these two columns. The first column, this one, okay, and the second data is this one, to our original data set. That means here we have to add this at the last. Okay, so for that, what you can do, you can type like Titanic data dot what's the function is there? Concat. You can use Titanic, no, not Titanic data, sorry, it's Titanic data. I'm replacing this Titanic pd.concat. It's a function of from pandas. So pd.concat, and here I'm taking equal to because I'm replacing the original data also. So pd.concat, and here I will just first of all pass my data on which I want to concat. The first data will here arguments will be the data name where we want to concat the data. Second thing, the column that I want to concat. So I want to concat these two columns. Fine. And here I want to add that you want to concat it as a column or you want to concat it as a row. So I will write here 1. 1 means that I'm concatenating the data as a column. So if I write here Titanic data dot head, I will get the output. See, so these 3 columns have been added to my data. So we have to remove this column and this column because now we don't require this. We already given here. So I will remove like this. Titanic data dot. That's it. Now we'll simply remove this. So I will write here the first column 6. Second. Then the third second column. Why it is disturbing me? Yeah, second column is what? P class. Okay, and here I will write axis equal to 1 and in place equal to true. So if I just print the head and just check, so my 2 column has been removed. So this is our final data set after doing the pre-processing, cleaning, filtering, removing the null colors and all. This is a complete data set, and on this data set we can simply apply the model. So this is basically the pre-processing part that you need to know before working on the COVID-19 coronavirus data. This was all about the pre-processing. And one more thing that you can do is that you can replace this column name. That mail is not looking nice. So you can replace this column name. You can rename the column name. You can rename it like this. We'll replace the column name. So for replacing the column name, you have to write Titanic data dot rename. Sorry, Titanic data dot rename, and here you have to pass columns equal to, and here you have to use one dictionary. So Titanic data dot rename, columns equal to dictionary. You have to use the first column. I want to replace mail with what? 6, then comma. The second one I have to replace 2. Here this 2 you don't have to write in double quotes. So 2 I have to replace with, suppose, P class 1 underscore 1 I am taking. Okay, 3 I have to replace with P class underscore 2. This is 1 and 2 is not the class name. Basically I'm just taking the, because P class we can't take both because the column name should not be repeated. That's why I'm taking another name 1 and 2. Okay, and here I will write in place equal to true. So if I execute this and just check the data, my column name has been changed. This was all about the pre-processing that you need to know. That's it.